Hello, everyone, and welcome to the final workshop of Futurepreneurs 2021. My name is Yulia. I'm the coordinator of this project. And if you don't know, Futurepreneurs is a sustainability pre-acceleration program organized by Sunrise Valley Science Technology Park every year since 2017. And while we focus on the teams participating in the program, all events, including this, are public and available for everyone interested in the topic. So today we are lucky to have a two-in-one deal. So in the first part, Yosef Shavit will give a lecture about pitching to investors. And after about an hour of this lecture, actual investors will join us to answer your questions. So if you have any questions, please submit them, and the link is in the description box of YouTube video. So now, without any further ado, I would like to introduce the lecturer of this workshop. So Yosef Shavit is a serial entrepreneur and enthusiastic innovation ecosystem promoter. He leads a wide range of programs, international competitions, dozens of events and communities, all designed to promote entrepreneurship and innovation in Israel and abroad. So today he will share with us his practical tips for pitching and fundraising. So Yosef, please, the virtual stage is yours.
Okay, good evening, everyone. How are you doing? I want to hear your voices, and please, if you can, please open your cameras. Today we are going to talk about pitch essentials. We are going to learn how to pitch in front of investors. Just a little bit about myself. I am the head of the Bengis Center. The Bengis Center is an entrepreneurship innovation center in Israel. It was the first entrepreneurship in an academic institution. I'm a serial entrepreneur, but also creating all sorts of ventures that the main purpose of these ventures is to promote entrepreneurship, mainly startup entrepreneurship. I started the acceleration program called Negev and another one called Faculty XL, both acceleration programs that focus on students and researchers from the southern part of Israel. I'm also the owner and the founder of a small international consultancy firm that work with multinationals and governmental organizations around the world in order to promote entrepreneurship and innovation. Besides that, I started a few startups on my own with great teams. And today, what we are going to do is to try and help you learn how to overcome a very big challenge, which is to be the 2% that do get an investment. Now, investors are experts. They are not giving you $5, $10, $20,000. In many cases, they're giving you much more than that. We are talking about $500,000 and much more. And because of that, they need to be experts and they look for specific things. And there are thousands of startups that are trying to get this money, because without this money, you won't be able to create the impact that you want to do. Okay? Now, today we will try and figure out what this investor is looking for. And besides that, we will try to explain how to present your idea, not just in a regular kind of way. Let's look in this algorithm, or let's look on this unique technology. The technology is just the how, but the main thing is what we're trying to do. Okay, what is the story behind what we are trying to do? And this is the whole idea. So this is what we will try to do. This will be the final part of the process that you are going through. I know that this was a very interesting process. I had the liberty of being in the place that you were supposed to be physically in Lithuania. And I know that you have great supporters, you have great mentors, and you probably had wonderful experience, and you are just about presenting your idea in the demo day. So let's try and figure out how to do it. Let's start by what people want to hear. Okay, so if you are presenting in front of investors, they are looking for several things. The first is to make sure that you are scalable, you can grow. There is nothing that will limit your opportunity to grow fast, and share your ideas and share your product with people from all around the world. The second thing is that they're trying to look for big problems, big markets. So if you focus your market research on Lithuania, well, this is nice, but there are not a lot of people in Lithuania. This is a small market. Even Israel is a small market, only 9 million people. But if you look in other places around the world, you will see that in the US we have 320 million people, in Brazil 200 million people, in China and India more than 1 billion people. So there are all types of markets with a lot of people that suffer from many things. So we need to try and figure out what are the problems that tend to create as much problem as there is. So try to figure that out. We will learn how later on. The investors trying to look for uncertainties because basically they are not loaning you the money, they are investing in you. And if you will fail, they won't be able to see the money. So they are looking for all sort of uncertainties. And if you want to conduct a thorough market research, there will be uncertainties. For example, why do you believe that people will pay $6 for this product? You should give me some proof. So you should say, okay, so for example, the competitors ask for $4. Okay, we are asking for 6 because we have differentiation. Okay, what makes you think that your differentiation is so important to the customer that you will be willing to pay $2 extra? So we have a lot of questions. Another thing is the team. Who is the team? How many people are in the team? Do they know how to work together? They create synergy. This is really important because they need to face all sorts of challenges, not only technological problems, but marketing problems, the challenges facing strategy, how they work together. Are they friends? Have they worked together in the past? Okay. Is this wonderful developer that is part of the team know how to lead a team? Because when I'm going to give money to this team, this developer will focus mainly on leading a team, not develop on its own, on his own. So basically, there are a lot of questions about each and every part of these areas that we are talking about. Timing. Timing is a crucial thing. Timing is one of the leading reasons for failures of startups. Why is your idea is relevant, not right now, in 1 or 2 years when it will hit the market? You are not starting right now. You will start in 1 or 2 years after you will finish creating your product, after you finish your R&D plan. So basically, in 1 or 2 or 3 years, when you will hit the market, will it be the right time? Will there be any other competitors that will hit the market much before you or will present better product? Timing is crucial. If you think about YouTube, for example, the timing was wonderful. The timing was wonderful because the internet connection was a bit faster. The web browsers knew how to run movies. There were other people that thought about this idea of sharing and showing movies that are uploaded by the customers themselves, but they failed because the timing was wrong. The complementary technologies weren't relevant. Okay, so think about it. Another thing is traction. Traction, what you already accomplished, what you've done. Have you filed patents? Have you conducted a market research? Have you have any LOIs, letter of intent from leading figures that say that if you will present this idea or product or service, they will buy it. This is really important. Okay. And the last thing is strategy. And strategy includes a lot of things. We will talk about them in a minute. You already talked about them. Among them are the revenue model, the go-to-market strategy, MVP. All of these aspects are part of the strategy. But the main thing probably is the timing and team. Okay. Now, When we are pitching an idea, we need to know that the people that we are pitching to usually heard a lot of other teams. And these teams came with their ideas and they conducted a thorough market research. And the investor is supposed to decide whether or not to invest their money. But this will be the first time that they will see you. Now, if you try to remind yourself about one time in the very far past of yours, and I will take an example, one of you, okay, so let's see who's here. Diana. Diana, are you here? Can I ask you a question? Diana? Okay, if not, let's see. Ivan. Ivan, are you here?
Yes, I'm here. Hello.
Oh, great. Hello, Ivan. Thank you very much. Ivan, I want to ask you a question. When you were 4 or 5 years old, at approximately 7 or 8 in the evening, your parents came to your room and wanted to read you a story just before you go to sleep. Okay. Now, I want you to recall this event and try to think about your parents. They took the book, okay, and opened the book and start reading. Now, they tried to move the page. What was the most important thing when they turned the page? What did you look for?
For pictures.
Great. Pictures. Pictures are crucial. We're human beings. We are not trying to read things. We want to see pictures. This is the best way to explain us, all sort of things. So take this into account. You are telling a story, Pitching an idea is telling a story to someone. Now, when you're telling a story, you don't need to include too much words. For this purpose, you are there. You are showing all sorts of pictures, charts, tables, whatever you have in mind, but you are the one to speak. Okay? You don't need to write more than 6 short words in each slide. Now, people will tell you, okay, you have 8, 10, 15 minutes to present. It's perfectly fine. So have 10, 15, 20 slides. No, I say that you can have 100 slides in 8 minutes. And each slide is supposed to focus on different things. Okay? So for example, if you talk about your solution, have many pictures as you can. Okay? One picture shows screen. One picture shows the complementary technologies. One picture show how a person uses kind of product. Okay? But you are telling a story. Now, this is the flow of a story. You can use it and you can change it. But once again, you should have a story. Okay? Now, it all starts with a very short sentence that you should present, which basically say what you are doing. There are so many teams that go to investors and present what they are doing just after half of the slides. They are building, something here. They want to talk about cancer, and so many people die from cancer. But what you are doing, okay? This is the first thing that you should say. Later on, you talk about the problem. But there are 2 layers of the problem. Of course, everyone's saying that if I will say there are 300 million people that die from cancer each year, okay? But what will happen if I will say there are 350 million people that die from cancer? It sounds the same. We can't really grasp big numbers. We know that this is important to the investor. But behind this number, there are 300 million people who suffer. We should present what it means to them to suffer from cancer. Especially you guys, you focus on impact and entrepreneurship. Let's talk about the person. What it means to have cancer. What it means to have cancer to my family. Okay? What it means to my community. to my country. Okay, each person that have cancer cost his country a lot of money. His family suffer a lot from his illness. We need to present it and then talk about the market. Then multiply the problem of the one person by 300 million. And then people grasp how big is the problem that we are trying to solve. Because the investor look for big problems, not small ones. Small ones don't bring money. Impact investors trying to make money. Yes, they are focusing on solutions that will make the world a better place. Environmental solutions, cultural solutions, society-oriented kind of solution. It's all great, but they are investors and they are trying to make money. So they are looking for huge problems, not small ones. Okay? And when we are talking about the market, we need to talk about the trends, because even if it's a huge market, but it doesn't grow, shrinking all the time, it's not so interesting kind of a market. So we need to bring the numbers, because investors talking numbers. Okay. Later on, we should talk about the competition. Now, one rule that you're supposed to have in mind all the time. You have competition. You can't come to the investor and say, I don't have any competition. Why do you think we can't come and say to the investors that we don't have a competition? What the first thing that he will say? Oh, Ben Ezra, are you here? Great.
Shalom, how are you?
Shalom, shalom, my fellow Israelis, if I'm correct.
Representing, yeah.
Representing Israel. Okay.
So if you will say that you don't have any competition, probably the investor will say that you are lying, because there is, from my point of view, there is no such a possibility.
Okay, yeah, you're correct. But the main thing he would probably say, well, if there is no competition, there probably is no problem.
Exactly. What are you doing then?
A person has a problem, there might be a solution. I can tell you a little story. In Israel, the army service is a mandatory service. Now, just after this army service, where I was a combat medic, I know that I don't look like a combat soldier, but I was. But I was a combat medic, and just after the army, I tried to make some money, and then I went to a hospital nearby, and I tried to sell my services as a person that will stay just near the bed of the people who are hospitalized and help them if they need. And people paid for that. It was amazing. And one time, I helped someone in the oncology department, people who has cancer. And in the middle of the night, I went to have a smoke. Okay? I just went to the balcony and had smoking in the department of oncology. I know, it sounds amazing. But another person came. He had cancer. Very old person. He was a Bedouin, an Arab. And we sat and smoked together. We say, well, you know, I don't understand what I'm doing here. I say, well, you probably have cancer. So yeah, I have cancer. People say they have cancer. I say, okay, so you are here because they're trying to help you. I say, well, I don't understand how they help me. I come here, they do something, I feel worse, and then I go home, and then when I say everything okay, they ask me to come back, and then I'm starting to feel bad. I say, yeah, but this is part of the process. They're trying to help you. Well, if you ask me, the best way to deal with this problem is that I'm going to my wife and I ask her to make me a tea with a lot of sugar. This makes my stomach feel better. Now, this is the solution. I know it sounds crazy, but for him, this is the solution. Now, if there is a problem, there is competition. Now, you should look for this competition. It could be not accessible, very, very expensive, stupid, ones that we can't really use, ones that we don't know how to use, ones that speak only in different languages and we don't know how to translate, perfectly fine. But there is a competition, especially if you are a startup. Because if you are a startup, you are oriented to the world. And somewhere in the world, there is a solution. So you need to present this solution. Because when you present different solutions, this is the only way that you can present the differentiation of your solution. You should say, there is A, B, C, and D, and they are doing great things, but the only thing is missing is what I do. And then you present your solution. And by that, you're talking about a very important aspect that the investor are looking for, which is your uniqueness, your innovation. And you should make them understand how innovative your idea and how you differentiate yourself, because without it, there is no reason for what you're doing. Okay? Now, you are impact entrepreneurs, so you're supposed to present the impact. And we are going to talk about each one of these elements. Okay? But you're supposed to present the impact. The impact on each and every one of the elements that this startup create the impact. The person, the society, the country, the world, I don't know. It really depends with your customer. So basically we need to figure out how to present the impact. Now, all of these things supposed to present numbers, statistics, okay? Estimations basically, but it's really crucial, okay? Now, the second part of our presentation or our story is strategic aspects, okay? The go-to-market strategy, how we are going to hit the market, what are the segments that interest us, how we are going to approach them, how we are going to make them understand that we are here. And we created this wonderful solution. Okay? The revenue model, how we are going to make money. It's really important to the investor. He wants to make sure that he will be able to see some sort of a return, not some sort, a huge return on his money. Tracking and validation, what you already have done, how you prove that what you're doing is correct, and the team. Who is the team? Now, there are people that present the team at the beginning. It's perfectly fine. But I believe that you're supposed to do it in the end, because just after you present the solution and the strategy, only then you can say, and this is our team. And this is why, after we presented everything, we are the right team to promote this idea. Okay? Now, the other aspect is how much money we want and how much equity we are willing to give in return. So this is basically what you should talk about. Now, let's drill down and try to figure out how it's supposed to look like. Okay? So, it all starts with a very short sentence that's supposed to present the vision. Now, the way to make sure that this one-liner is good is to just present it to as many people under the age of 50 and say, well, what do you think we're doing? Okay. So here are some examples. Okay. Next sentence. Wearable sensor platform for sleep disorders. Now, as you can understand, right now you have a vision. Well, I understand. They put some sensors on your body and they are trying to figure out if you have sleep disorders. So we understand what is the problem. We understand probably what the clients. We understand how it's going to look like. Okay. Now we have a vision. Now we are ready. Now we are ready to hear whatever statistic you have in mind, okay? A lot of people suffer from sleep disorders. It could happen because of sleep apnea. It could happen because, but I understand what you're doing. Now I understand what you are why you are talking about the statistics, okay? Let's see another one, okay? Advanced eye tracking technology for pediatric vision care. So right now we understand the specific segment, pediatrics. Kids, okay? And we're creating eye tracking technology. So probably it's something that look into the eyes and trying to figure out what happens. Hey, Simona, it's nice to see you. Drive safely. Don't look at the screen. Okay, so let's see another one. Digital solution for language learning. Okay, so as you can understand, it's supposed to be very, very, very short. 6, 7, 8 words that explain what you're doing, giving me a vision. I can understand what you're trying to do. You can also call it a Tinder for pets. Dalia, are you here with us? Dalia?
Yes, yes, I am.
Amazing. Good
Yes, I
evening.
am.
How are you, Dalia?
I'm okay. I'm a lecturer with my students. So you were talked to before, so I'm just checking are they active, and so I'm not
Okay.
working on my idea. I'm going to check what are the ideas.
Okay, but before that, I want to ask you, what is the business model of Tinder for pets? What is the business model? Try to think about it.
Nice idea, by the way, Tinder for the pets. I
Yeah,
believe that it would be useful.
yeah,
When people having pets, they are looking for a best partner to have the nicest children, babies, and so on. It would be quite nice.
great. So what is the business model? How will I make money when we will both start our Tinder for pets kind of, startup? It will create a lot of impact on the world, by the way.
While having a babies, and there is a possibility to sell them to better.
Yeah, you can sell babies with, great parents and whatever, and you can make money out of it. Now, I know it sounds bad, but, a lot of things, a lot of businesses do bad things, but people are looking for it. Now, there are a lot of ways that we can present our idea in just one liner, and it's crucial because this one liner will help you to sell your idea. Okay. Now, just after that, it is really important that we will make sure that the investor or whoever hears this presentation understand the problem. Now, there are all sorts of ways of doing that, but it's crucial that we will remember that we are telling a story. Now, you probably all heard about the SDGs by now, okay, because you are part of a very good program that one of the focus of this program is the SDGs. But in order to present a problem, we should be very innovative, okay? First, we need to make sure that we understand the problem, okay? Because if we're trying to help people in third world countries, well, Lithuania is not a third world country. I've been there. You have a wonderful country. I really love it. I still have a very nice from Lithuania, and I always look at. Oh, sure. Sorry. This is a rock, 40 million years old, and was given to me by a very good friend of mine from Lithuania. Now you have very good country, wonderful country. It's not a third world country. But when you're trying to help people in third world countries, you need to make sure to understand the problem. So, for example, this young boy here at the left is having a problem. We have problem with his hearing; he can't hear. So, in countries just like ours, the people will give him a hearing aid. Okay, and every 2 or 3 days, you will have to take this hearing aid and then, charge it. But in Africa, people don't have the opportunity to charge. They don't have electricity. So even if you bring 100,000 of these hearing aid products, they won't help anyone. Okay. Now, for example, if you're trying to help people in third world countries, and create some sort of an app that will allow them to sell their products or whatever, sounds great. But do they have smartphones? Do they have internet? No, they don't have it, so they won't be able to use it. Now, one interesting thing that I just learned is that 100,000 Africans died each year just because of a fake malaria drugs. Malaria is a very big problem. People trying to buy drugs, they are not going to doctors, they are buying it from people in the street because they don't have health system just like ours. This is a huge problem. and they don't have smartphones and they don't have doctors. So what they do, they just, take a box and then scratch an area in this box, and then they have a number. So they send the number as an SMS message, then they know if this is a real or fake kind of medicine. Now, after you send this number, you won't be able to use it once again, the number. So this is the way to present you that if you won't understand the problem, you won't be able to create a good solution. And the investors are experts. They will know the problem. They will know how the customer think, feel, and what they're willing or not willing to do. Okay, so take this into account. Conduct the market research. There are two types of market research: the primary and the secondary. The secondary is one that you can do in Google and websites or whatever, but the primary is the most important one. It's interviews, focus groups, okay? It could be online questionnaires. It's really important. If you won't do it, it will be very hard for you to prove your assumptions that there is a market, the market needs your solution, the market believes that your differentiation is important, okay? Try to do it, pretty easy, okay? Especially in the high-tech sector, people are willing to talk. And as we talked before, there are a lot of competitors, so you can contact these competitors. You can contact associations, but first make sure that you understand the problem. After that, come up with this kind of slide. If you want to talk about a problem, show someone that suffers from something, okay? So, for example, this person is Yoni. Yoni is not too happy. And it's not because it's Monday, okay? Yoni feels tired. He is tired all the time. He is not happy with just about anything. He is trying to find a date, but they all say he's normal. And he's tired and it hurts him all the time. When he go to work, his boss always tell him, Yoni, you are not doing what I want you to do. You're not focused. Yoni trying to figure out what is the problem. He's trying to go to sleep at 8 o'clock, wake up at 6, 7, but he's tired all the time. Guys, do you know what Yoni has? Anyone? What Yoni has? What is the problem that Yoni suffers from? Why he can't sleep?
Depression?
So, what? What was the answer?
I thought maybe depression.
Depression. Okay. Depression. Well, something led him to become depressed. Yeah. But when I'm talking about a specific person, it's really easy to relate to him. So let's start with that. Okay, so this is Yoni. Yoni is very sad. He can't sleep. No one wants to create a very strong relationship with him because he snores all the time. He's both not too happy. What he has? Sleep apnea. Sleep apnea is something that a lot of people have. If they are fat or if they are using it or smoke too much. Okay, a lot of people around the world have sleep apnea. Okay, this is a problem, a breathing problem. Okay, when you sleep, okay, your tongue block the airway, and then because of that, you wake up, okay, stressed because the body tells you that you are not, breathing, so you need to wake up. Okay, now people who suffer from sleep apnea can wake up. Okay, it's really important. 10 times a minute because they can sleep, and the body tells them, wake up. Okay, you're not sleeping, you are not breathing. So this is a big problem. Okay, now of course it hurts his love life. Okay, but this is the big problem that you only don't know. Okay, his risk of cancer is high. He will become obese. Okay, and he will have a weak immune system. So if you won't treat his problem, these are the huge problems that Yoni is going to suffer from. Now he don't know that. What he is thinking about is his love life and his boss. But this is what Yoni, a young person, will suffer in 5 years. Now I know It took me 20, 30, 35 minutes to present you this part of the presentation. But now you know what is the problem. I'm not starting by saying, well, a lot of people suffer from sleep apnea. This is a very big problem. People who suffer from sleep apnea earn $50 less or whatever. No, right now you know what is the problem, what the problems that people really believe that they have and what they don't know that they have. Okay. Now after that, we can start with the statistics, because right now we're supposed to multiply Yoni in a big number. Okay. Now the big numbers, okay, is how many people will use this product. Now keep in mind who is your customer. From time to time is the end user, Yoni. Okay. But in many cases, like health systems, okay, or insurance company, this would be a business. It could also be a government that buys the services. So you need to figure out who is your customer and how big is the problem on a global level, not a specific country. Okay, now, this is a problem. This is a mistake that a lot of startups do. Talk about a very specific country. No, you're supposed to talk about big numbers, about the world. And the numbers that you're supposed to present we have two numbers that you need to talk about. The first is how much money is this market worth, okay? So for example, if we're trying to talk about sleep apnea, all over the world, the problem is worth $150 billion. And split it into A, B, C, and D. And it grows each year in 7%. Okay? So as you can see, we talk about how big is the number, is the market in money, okay, and how much it grows. If you see that the market is shrinking, don't talk about it. You're supposed to try and figure out the market that grow, okay? The second number is how many people suffer from it. And once again, you should add the trend, if it grows or shrinking. Now, another thing that you can see here is a segment, okay? A small segment. You should try and start talking about the segments that interest you. So for example, you can say, I am going to talk about people at the ages of 30 to 55 in third world countries. And in this segment, we have 500 million people. And it grows pretty fast, okay? Now, you can start presenting the segment and say, well, I know the whole market, the total addressable market, it's called the TAM, okay, grows in only 2%, but my segment, the segment that I focus, grows pretty fast. It grows in 15% a year. And this is probably why I want to focus on this segment, okay? So this is the whole idea. Talk in numbers and always bring the source. And the source is supposed to be updated, okay? Not one for 2014. You need to talk about 2020, 21. The world is changing all the time. High-tech entrepreneurship startups are supposed to be very dynamic. They're supposed to react to the market. And if you are talking about numbers from 2014, well, the market changed. It's not the same market. Even I think that in many aspects in our lives, okay, there is a huge difference between 2019 to 2021. Who thought that all the courses in the university will be presented in Zoom? Right now, a lot of students in Israel say that they are not really happy with the fact that they're supposed to pay for security when they are not going to the university, but they still pay for it. Now, I truly believe, as one of the most immune kind of countries around the world, and we are going to see our students just after Passover in 2 weeks, okay? It's a very big holiday here in Israel, okay? So in 2 weeks, they will have to come back to the campus. And then they will say, well, stupid, why need to come to the campus? We can do it in Zoom, okay? Why I need to drive for 1 or 2 hours just to come and see you, dear lecturer? So the world is changing all the time, okay? So you're supposed to be up to date. Now, you probably remember Yoni. You say, well, yeah, well, we are young, we are not obese, we are not smoking, we don't have this problem. But, well, although you don't have the problem, this is a huge problem, as I said before, $150 billion kind of problem. Now, this is a pretty good, but not too good kind of slide that you can use, okay? Because if we wouldn't use this area on the upper part of this slide, we won't have a lot of words. We will show only numbers. I can say, well, you know, the total market is 150 billion, but 90 billion, almost 90 billion is loss of productivity. This is just exactly what you just told us, that he is losing his productivity and his boss not too happy about it. Okay, and motor vehicle accident, well, this is another problem. So when you're trying to present your idea, don't forget, start with something that we can relate to, which is a person, okay? And then move on and start talking about the market, the bigger market. This is another way of presenting a market. This is a great slide, okay? If you will use these kind of slides, you probably have better chances of being successful, okay? Medical tourism, this is how big is the market, this is how it grows, okay? And then start focusing and drilling down, okay? Now, one way of collecting this data is using Google, but not the regular Google, Google Pictures. This is the best way of collecting statistics. Now, the way of doing that is pretty easy. When you're going to Google, just write down air pollution, for example, and then add the word market or industry. Then, after you will have like 2 billion links, press on the images. And then limit, okay, here you can see also, in tools, limit the results to the past year. So we'll have up-to-date kind of results. And then what you will have is things like that, okay? Charts, tables, infographics. This is exactly what you need, okay? This is one type of data which is crucial, okay? Here you can show a few things. The market is growing, okay? Another thing is the segment in the market, okay? So here you can see the same thing by technology and by product. This is great because it gives you all the things that you need and it's up to date, okay? Another thing is infographics. This is the exact data that you're supposed to present when you're pitching for the first time in front of investors. You won't want to look in your algorithm and all this, you know, technology aspects. You want to hear a story. So this is a story. Small numbers that make all the difference, okay? When someone hears a story, you don't really care or think about one of the stories that you heard. You don't really care who helped the grandma to fix her toilet before the grandkid came. You don't really care about the small pieces of data. You're supposed to try and figure out what is the most interesting data. Another thing is that this is a map of technologies, of solutions, of competitors in specific sectors, subsectors of the big picture. For example, here we have the AI market and split it into subsectors, AI in energy, for example. Now, when we see these words, we can write down the AI, NLP industry, and then look for data if you are focusing on NLP AI technologies. And you will have a lot of data about specific startups who are your competitors. Okay? So this is what you will get when you will look and search in Google Pictures. Otherwise, it will be very hard for you to collect the data. Okay. Now, another thing is your innovationness. And what I've mentioned before is that you can't present what is so innovative about you without talking about your competitors. So how we present our competitors? We should present them as a table. Okay. Now, this is an example of a table that focus on a specific startup that deal with work and time management. As you can see, we have specific elements of comparison in order to try and figure out what is the difference. Now, when we present the table, we should remind ourselves that there are two things that we are looking for. The first one is, of course, what is so unique about us? So you probably will present pluses and minuses or whatever, and you will present here in this area, which is yours, basically, all pluses or V or whatever, and it's perfectly fine. But another thing that you should present in this table is what your competitors do and do right. Because in many cases, you will try to do similar things that your competitors do, and this will be a proof that you are going to do right of doing that. So you are presenting two things. Proof that what you are doing similar to your competitors is good because they already experienced that and they are doing that, and so it's probably the right way of doing specific things like, I don't know, business model, using specific technologies, focusing on specific segments, but you will also show what is so unique about you. So don't try to use this competitive analysis as a tool of showing, well, all the other was just bad. I'm just wonderful. No, don't come in this way and try to show to show that you are the best. No, you're a young startup. You don't have a lot of money. You're trying to get some support. All the others are here. They have money. They know what they're doing. Otherwise, they won't be there. Okay. So you should respect your competitors, but also show what is so unique about you. And it's perfectly fine to do similar things, even use the same technology or present the same solution. But you can say, well, this is great, but I am presenting it to a new segment that no one really reached before. Okay, this is important. Okay, because for example, if I'm taking my cell phone, okay, and sorry that you can see it, but I'm taking my cell phone and allowing, I don't know, one of you to just take a picture of his beauty dot and try and figure out if he has cancer or not. Well, this is something that doctors already do. Okay, they use all sorts of AI technologies in order to figure out if a person has a cancer or not. By the way, statistically, if you are going to an expert, an oncologist, he will be able to figure out if you have cancer only in 73% of the times. If you use AI technologies right now, the percentage is much higher. It's 94%. So if I'm giving you this opportunity to use this technology, you are a new segment. Okay. Now, you as a segment, people who don't have any expertise in this area, okay, will want to pay different amount of money. Will want to get the result in a different kind of way. Okay? So everything here is pretty important because this is a way for you to show what is so unique about you. Now, you probably remember Yoni from before, and there are many ways in which we can treat this slip up nail. So as you can see, I just presented this competitive analysis in a different kind of way. Okay, so see, I just used a lot of pictures. So you can use, try to treat allergies, but not a lot of people have allergies. You can have a surgery, but if you will have a surgery, it will hurt him. And he will go with a nose, which is look like somebody hit him, okay? Now, he can try and lose weight. Now, everyone knows that losing weight is just the simplest kind of thing in the world. I can just do like this and then I 5 kilograms less. Okay? And if you are doing in this kind of way, funny kind of way, it's easier to understand that there is a problem in the market, because there are a lot of people that suffer from sleep apnea, and they can go to the doctor and he will say, okay, so lose weight. Okay, go to surgery. Or this is another option. Use a circular breathing techniques. What it means? Well, you don't need to do anything. You just need to go to sleep with something, okay, on your face. I don't need to lose weight now? No surgery? No. Wonderful. But this is how you are going to look like. Now, Ivan, are you still here?
Yes.
I want to ask you a question. Let's say that you are snoring. You're not, but let's say that you are. And you need to think, because it's hurt your love life, okay? No one really wants to have, a boyfriend who snores, okay? What will be better, snoring or going to sleep like this? What ladies will see as the better option?
I think the answer is obvious.
What?
I think the answer is obvious. This mask is, I feel, it will be quite popular for all the people who has this problem.
Okay. Well, yeah, for the people, but if this will be the first time that we'll sleep over, I'm pretty sure that you will be amazed, because you became an elephant overnight. Okay, so this is the way that we should present our pitch. Not supposed to be strict. No, you're talking to people. You're telling a story. Okay, so don't just present the table. Start with something interesting. When we're trying to think about comparison of our solution with other solutions, let's talk about the solutions that are in the market. Okay, start presenting like a story. Okay, we should focus on price, accessibility, things like that. Not start directly with the chart, the table, because there are a lot of data in this table. You're supposed, by presenting what are the elements of comparison, maybe give a picture of 2 of these competitors, and then drill down and present the whole table. Keep in mind, you are talking to people. If there is a lot of data in a specific slide, it will be very hard for them to grasp everything that you want to present. Now, your solution is supposed to be presented in all sorts of ways. One of them would be a picture of how it looks like. Okay, another could be mock-up or whatever. Okay, so for example, one of the biggest problems in Israel and in other countries is that between 4,000 to 6,000 people die from because they're going to the hospital and get all sorts of germs that makes them die. Okay, so they come because they have something, and then they died because something else, germs. Okay. So we can create a solution, a computer vision kind of solution that helps you, okay, to deal with that. Okay. This is another mock-up. Okay. You can show all sort of, screenshots to present your idea and your business model, for example. This is another screenshot. Okay. All sort of things that will allow us to better understand what you're doing. But when you are presenting your solution, you should focus on presenting several things. First, all sort of mock-ups, everything that will help the investor to understand how it is going to look like. Another thing would be, what is the complementary technologies that you are going to use? Okay, because you are always using complementary technologies. It could be basic things like internet. It could be more specific, 5G. I can't really create an autonomous car without 5G. This is the case, okay? And I won't be able to create an autonomous car without AI, okay? So what are you using, to create this technology? I just need to better understand, okay? So this is several things that you should present in order to help the investor understand how you are doing this synergy. What is included, what is integrated. Another thing as impact entrepreneurs is to present your impact. Now, I'm pretty sure that you already discussed it, but it's vital to understand that, and as impact entrepreneurs, there are a lot of stakeholders, a lot of people that, or entities that are being impacted by your solution. And you should think about it, okay? Because everything that you are doing, including helping people that can't hear, suddenly hear, okay, is helping much more than the person itself. This person can go to work. If you go to work, he is paying tax. If he is paying tax, the government don't need to pay for him. He is paying back. He is helping his community. He can create an impact on his society. Now, this is a very big impact, and you should calculate this impact, because when you're going to the investor, you should talk to him not only in, we are going to fix this and that, and this will create a wonderful impact. No, talking numbers. And there are a lot of numbers around the world about just about anything. Okay? So, for example, how smart city create an impact? Okay, in public safety, healthcare, these are real numbers. Now you can take this number and change it just a little. You can say, well, I know in regards to public safety, there is a decrease in 8 to 10% in urban fatalities. Great, but we will probably have 12 because all the other solutions doing this way. My solution is better. Do other things. So you can take real numbers and change it as you wish, but you should give a proof for it. So always present the numbers. The numbers are crucial for the understanding. And as you can see, smart water, these are the numbers. These are the numbers in EdTech. You have numbers about just any kind of sector and subsector you have in mind. Solar energy, recycled concrete. I know you have great ideas, but the numbers are there. You just need to find them and present the impact. And you should present a big impact, because this is what the impact investors are looking for. And much more than that, as big as the problem, as much as the impact, basically it's as much as money as they can make. So don't forget to talk about that. This brings us to the second part of our presentation, which is strategy. The go-to-market strategy. You should present the segment and say, I'm going to reach this segment by using Facebook and social media, using distributors, whatever. The investor is supposed to make sure that he understands how you present your product to the market and make the market buy your solution. Another thing that you should talk about the go-to-market strategy is why you decided to focus on this specific segment. So for example, you can say, yeah, I decided to focus on Lithuania or in Israel. I know there are very small markets, but this market, by my market research, are similar to ones in the US or the EU. Now, I'm close to these markets, and I know that these markets are willing to get not too mature kind of technologies. And this is what I can present. My MVP is not a mature technology, and they're willing to take it. They really need it, so they're willing to take it. And because of that, I'm going to hit this market. And only then, after I will make sure that my technology is pretty good and mature, I will present it to the whole world. So this is how you present your go-to-market strategy. You're supposed to have a reason for just about anything, okay? Another thing is the business model, how you're going to make money. Now, there are a lot of ways of making money. Even without asking money, you can collect data, and data worth a lot of money. Now, Tim Cook, you'll probably know him, you've probably seen one of your bars, said, when an online service is free, you're not the customer, you are the product. You are the product because someone collected data about you, and now they can do better marketing. They can make you buy things. So this is the whole idea, how you make money. Well, it will take me just 5 or 6 minutes. I know that limit of time, so it's perfectly fine. I know you're wonderful, Julija. I'm not saying anything, but I know. Just 5 minutes if it's okay. Traction and validation. Now I know you only started 2 months ago. You haven't got enough time, but you should bring proof. The investor is a risk taker. He's a risk manager, basically. Risk manager calculate all the risks. They're trying to figure out if you are going to fail or if you're going to succeed. Now, one of the ways that increase your chances of success is to bring proof. Now, one of the ways that you can bring proof is by presenting some sort of a prototype, because it will say that you know how to create this technology. Another way, which is easier way, is to bring LOI. LOI is a letter of intent. For example, you are interviewing one of your customers and you say, okay, so you are a big hospital. What do you think about my idea? You say, well, your idea is amazing. Okay, can you write a letter with your logo saying that my idea is pretty good, and if I will present it to the market, you will be willing to implement my idea in your ER, for example? If you say yes, this is a proof. You're bringing innovative ideas, something that no one really tried before. If you're going and gets this proof from the customer, the investor will feel much better. Okay, so you can do a lot of things that lower the chances of you being, failing. Okay, and these are the things that you can come up with. Advisors that are willing to help you, IP, and of course, good market research, interviews, LOIs. These are the things that you should try and get. And the last thing is the team. And the way that you're supposed to present the team is just with smiling faces of all of you together, presenting only your job title in this startup. What is your role? Okay, your name. Okay, and then of course talk about why you are the right people to do that, because you have entrepreneurial experience, you have technological experience, you have whatever experience which is relevant to the startups that you are promoting. Okay, this is startups that no one really heard about, Airbnb. Okay, this is the bad slide. This is the real slide, but bad one, because as you can see, a lot of words. Okay, they could limit themselves only to name, job title, logo, and team. This is it. Okay, don't forget, use only 6 words. This is a very bad way of presenting the startup. Okay, of course, these are the founders, these are the workers. It's perfectly fine, but don't use a lot of words. This is why you are there. In regards to the financial, all you need to say as part of your pitch is how much money you need based on your R&D plan and how much equity you're willing to give in return. Basically, this will also allow the investor to figure out what is the evaluation of your startup, how much the startup worth. Okay, this is about it. Okay, so if you are summarizing everything up, okay, try to make your presentation to be a bit more emotional. Try to make people to relate to the stories that you are telling. Don't only show statistics. Statistics, important, interesting. In many cases, people can't really grasp them. So start with something easier, okay? A use case of some sort. Use a lot of slides. Each slide is supposed to talk about one thing, okay? Another thing is you should know the numbers. You should know the problem. Make sure that you understand the problem. If you are trying to help someone who is different from you, you should make sure that you understand what is the real problem, because he thinks differently. Okay, you have people who live in Western countries, you have health system, you have electricity, you have education, you have money, you have the opportunity to go to McDonald's. Well, all of this, a person in a different part of the world don't have it. So try to learn about it, try to figure out. From time to time, these people that you are trying to help don't really know how to read. So even if you give them a product and give them manuals, they won't be able to understand it. So take this into account. Don't use too many bullets, okay? Just simple 6 words each slide. This is the biggest amount of words you're supposed to have. Don't make it too long. I know I'm making it too long, so I will stop. I want to thank you all. I want to thank you guys, Julia and Julija. Sorry, Julija. I'm pronouncing your name good. It's okay.
It's Julia. It will be all right.
Julia, I'm really sorry. It's really important to pronounce the name correct, especially the investors. So thank you very much for the opportunity. And I just think that you are going through an amazing process with the entrepreneurs. And I hope that you learned and got everything you need in order to promote your startups. You can contact me anytime via emails, WhatsApp, whatever. I will be very happy to assist you. Okay. And thank you very much for this opportunity. If you have any question, I'm here.
Thank you, Yosef. Thank you very much for sharing your extensive experience and practical tips to our participants. And I'm sure that everyone who has been listening learned something new today from you. So thank you all. Okay, so if you can, please stop sharing your screen right now.
Sure.
And if you can, you are welcome to stay here. And now I would like to switch to the second part of today's workshop, organized together with Lithuanian Business Angel Network. So usually investors have many questions for startups, but this time it will be the other way around. So we asked our community to submit their questions, and now we will discuss it with angels. So before we start, I would like to remind you that you can still submit your questions via a form linked in YouTube video. And to address all of your questions, or at least most of them, we have 4 members of LitBAN joining us here today. So please meet Ieva Zubavičiūtė, Augustas Štaras, Dr. Erin Gaynor, and Romualdas Bekša. So I see all of you turned on your cameras, so please unmute yourself, and I will ask you to briefly, just in a sentence or two, introduce yourself and your background. So I think we can go in the same way, starting with Ieva, if that's all right.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Ieva. I am a London-based recruitment consultant and angel investor. I work with positive impact and responsible startups, mostly in the fashion and consumer goods industries. As an angel investor, I'm quite new. I've been investing for around 2 years, but I'm trying to be very active in this field that I specialize in.
Okay, thank you, Ieva. So Augustas?
Hi guys, hi everyone. My name is Augustas. My background is fintech. So last 6 to 7 years I spent in a fintech industry. First as a managing director for online consumer lending business. Then we moved together with partners to co-found a peer-to-peer lending platform, which we successfully grew and exited the business. And the last 2 or 3 years, I mostly focus on investments, both like private and public investments. So I'm part of LitBAN network, been one of the kind of early members there. Yeah, so happy to be here and looking forward to Q&A session.
Yeah, thank you. Erin?
Good evening, everyone. Erin Gaynor. My background is in life sciences and pharmaceuticals, about 15 years in the pharmaceutical industry, ranging from drug development through to general management, CEO, and now board level roles. Otherwise, I have been interested in investing for about 5 years now, both as an angel and also through a venture philanthropy fund that I created that is especially interested in investing in empowerment of girls and women. And greetings to Ieva. We are co-investors on on a super female founder team. So it's nice to be on a panel with Ieva.
Thank you. And last but not least, Romualdas.
Hello for everyone. I'm Romualdas. I'm an entrepreneur who has a business in furniture industry, and it's my main business. But the same, I own a couple of different companies, like a golf course or small IT company, and the same I invest in some startups, and the same I own my own startups. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So now I think let's jump straight into questions because we probably have more than we can answer today. So I will try to connect some similar questions into one like kind of a bigger question. And for the warm up, our participants has been learning about customer value proposition and how to make yourself visible. So this question is for you. So what is the difference between venture capital funds and business angels? And what are the main advantages of having a business angel as an investor? So who would like to start with this one?
I can start. As I've been working with venture capitals on the recruitment side, recruiting for the startups that they've invested in for a while now. So I'm kind of experienced being inside the VC. I would say that it also depends on the venture capital fund, very much so. It can be a small one and a cozy one, if I can call so, working closely with angels too, or angel syndicates. It can be a big one. Then it's a very different game from working with angel investors only. Normally the journey goes like that, and perhaps you talked about it already, that the first round would be with family and friends and angels or close network, right? And then only then you would engage with VCs. Or it will be a combination of a VC and an angel round. So I think a bit of a mixture is always good, at least from my perspective. To have angels that are really interested in your business, not just from actually investing from the financial point of view, but especially from strategy and adding value, is definitely, you will definitely be in a better position, and you will be able to connect to that exact person and to be in touch with them, constantly. If it's an angel who is a strategic investor. From a VC point of view, if it's a big venture capital fund, then you might be just one off, and it can be more difficult to communicate. So, but it's also very, it can be really difficult. I would say that it depends on the stage of the business, and it depends what we're looking for. Maybe I'll give a microphone to someone else.
Sure, I can just chime in. I think I completely agree that the stage of the business. I'm a firm believer that there are different investor categories that are suited for different types of businesses and different stages. I think angels will tend to probably be more patient with earlier stage, in my experience, with earlier stage platforms, and perhaps a bit more empathetic in my mind to the management teams. I tend to subscribe to the idea that angels are early, and then as you grow and you want to accelerate, then you move on to VCs and subsequent public markets, private equity, all of that. It's a very traditional view that I have.
Yeah, I thanks so much. I can add as well here. I think one of the key benefits in having angel investor early on is having this super supporter of your business and your vision. So basically, if you're at a later stage and you have a VC investment, so you're, as colleagues mentioned, you're one of X number of projects they invested or companies they invested into. But typically, there's always the case that there are maybe super angels which have a lot of companies in their portfolio. But I think from my perspective and in thinking from a young startup perspective is to have this angel. A benefit is to have someone who is fully in your vision, dedicates more time to meet the team, probably help them go through the first steps and et cetera, and basically can lean into kind of his network and expertise, especially the startup lacks some of the expertise in a different field, for example, sales or marketing or infrastructure technology, etc. So having the strong angel is very beneficial because he can cover some of the expertise the startup is lacking in early stages.
I a little bit, just one fun. Mostly venture capitals has more money than just the angel investors. It's the biggest difference. But one of idea, it's how startups. It's from startups perspective. It's you can find the same situation in venture capitals team and the same in angel. How close you will be. It's if you will be close with the venture capital team, you get the same from the like angel, I think, in my opinion.
Okay, I believe you sold yourselves. And a follow-up question regarding the investment in early stage startups. So a lot of people were asking, do you invest in pre-revenue startups? Do you invest in super early stage startups? Is it possible to get the pre-seed stage investment while building the demo product? And what would be good signs of early traction? And what is the first milestones we should achieve to get this first investment? So question is basically how young or early is not too early to get the investment?
I think there are no rules. How you represent yourself, your product, your idea. There are no rules like at this stage you can get money or not get. It's depend on situation.
I think if I can put my 2 cents here is usually if it's a very early stage, the most crucial thing you look from investment perspective is the team behind and what the relevant experience it has. So I don't know if usually the angels, they come early. That's kind of usual practice. So there's been, I guess, cases when investment has been made when there's no product market fit or even no revenues or even the business plan is not very clearly set out. But usually you rely on the team and the experience we have. And I personally like to see the teams that have this strong vision and the reason they want to be in the market and why they are solving this problem. So you're basically in this stage, you rely less on fundamentals, more like on it's not a gut feeling, but it's like more like emotional thing that you connect to the founder's vision and you can connect to them and help them build a business.
I think that's a tough question. I think it depends a lot on the field or the industry, if that's the right word. Coming from life sciences and pharmaceuticals, for me, there's this concept of proof of concept, which can be based on some very preliminary data or some, it could be a team that has expertise in a certain area, but there's some kind of underlying credibility that's established that I think is there, that needs to be compelling before raising capital. And then in the life science space, I mean, the timelines and the development programs are so lengthy and costly that it's also, I think, a different ballpark probably than some other areas.
I agree with Erin. I agree actually with everyone. And it also depends for me personally on the field, and fashion is so oversaturated and it seems that so many things have been done in so many areas. And since I concentrate on sustainability at the moment, which is booming, I really look at the team, but also at the circumstances and if the team knows the market really, really deeply. Because it's such an oversaturated industry with startups, brands, and you name it, it's really important for me to be sure 100%, even if it's a pre-seed or MVP stage of product or brand, that they know exactly what is the competition globally. Because in my case, if I'm normally the one who knows more, then it's not enough for me.
Okay, thank you. And yeah, you mentioned that it's all about the team and about the person behind the idea. So the next question is, what are the most important traits a startup founder should have in order to be successful? So maybe you could elaborate on the personal part.
I think passion is a big one. I mean, being passionate about the subject of the startup, whether it's the unmet need in the market that he or she has identified. I think, a founder who lacks passion is for me not going to be a compelling investment case.
I usually very strongly look at the trait or kind of quality which is called like grit or perseverance, because usually the startups operate in so chaotic environment and everything is so moving at a fast pace and you have to solve so many questions. So I always look at the person or founder's will to stay here, right, for a long time of period, and it's always about how much effort he puts in. So that's one, I guess, good indicator in early stage of the team that they have not only just a vision and a passion, which can be described in many words, but it's like if you agree on some things and they deliver even before the deadlines, that's I think one of the things that drives my interest to talk more to the team and have this kind of expanded conversation about what are the investment goals and what are the product goals and market goals, etc. So I think it's a very strong kind of subscription to the idea that you need to deliver, and that's why investors are into investing, right? They still want to get the money out, they want to get the return on investment. So if the team shows the capabilities to deliver on the plans we agreed on, the tactics we agreed, and the actions we agreed. So that's one, I think, for me personally, it's a strong thing I want to look at the teams in the beginning.
Yeah, that's a good one. Romualdus, you had something to add?
I put some, I think the passion, skills, efforts, and to be the team member, it's a most, for the people that you will be the most successful. But I saw a lot of passion people who are a little bit struggling because they are like this passion, but not doing enough, or sometimes they do too much R&D on this passion, and it just doesn't help them to grow or to be the next stage.
Okay, so you have to love your idea, but not too much. Okay, and let's get back to question about money. People are interested in money, and they're asking how much money do you usually invest in early stage startups? Is there a minimum or maximum amount, and how big the pre-seed investment can be in Lithuania? So can you talk about the numbers?
I guess, yes. It's good that you specified in Lithuania because it's very different not in Lithuania. As I've been a part of several angel rounds in Lithuania and not in Lithuania. So with the same amount of money, you can be a leader investor in Lithuania and not really the leading investor in, let's say, in the UK. So it depends. It's definitely a personal choice and the personal circumstances of the angel investor, what amount they are investing. And I know that there are angels who are investing as little as, let's say, 10,000 euros and or even sometimes 5 to just have skin in the game, as they say. And, and they're doing this so-called spray and pray method, mostly like VCs, just invest a little bit, depending on their personal capital everywhere. It can be hundreds of thousands euros too, even for an angel investor. It's perhaps depends also on the size of the deal and the stage of the investment too, because angels also participate not just in the first rounds, but also further rounds. For me personally, it will be between 30, 60K euros, but saying that, I don't invest in the method that I just mentioned, spray and pray. Normally, I invest in the startups that I want to be an active part of.
Okay, thank you.
In Lithuania, it's standard investment. It's from 20 to 50,000, in my opinion. It's standard. Yes, it's correct. Yeah, it's very different countries, Lithuania and UK, or the same London. I sit in one conference with in London with persons who own the 20 billion fund. That it's totally different. The biggest Lithuanian fund, it's 1 billion just.
Yeah, thank you.
But in Lithuania, standard angel investment is from 20 to 50.
Yeah, I think that's very good to know for startups, just what to expect. And the next question would be, do you have any suggestions on how to choose the right investor? So, Augustas, I know that you co-founded multiple startups, so maybe you can start and share your experiences.
Yeah, so I think from my own perspective is at the early stage, again, you look at the team you built around, right? So co-founders you have and what competences they bring to the table and what competences are needed to execute the business plan for the kind of first milestones you want to achieve. So I think that's a very practical thing to look at the things you need or are you lacking right now as a team. Another one is, I guess, the Estonian way is to look at the most network or kind of most connected angel you can get, right? So that brings again a very extra value for you as a startup, as a company, so you can leverage the connections the angel has, right? And particularly if that's connected globally in another markets, in another ecosystems, being Silicon Valley or London or Berlin. You name it, right? So that's always pays off if you have a well-connected angel.
Yeah, so basically it's all depends on the startup and what it is lacking. Yeah. Okay, does someone want to add anything?
Maybe just one thing to add. I think it's important at an angel stage to have a personal fit, depending on how many angels you're investing with. But being an entrepreneur or a leader of an organization can be quite lonely. And even if you have co-founders, that's great. But some people, are more or less sole founder, and, having support and the ability to have a sparring partner with somebody who has some skin in the game, I think is really important, and to have that mutual trust set up. So I think there is, at angel stage, I would think there's a bit of a personal fit question. That if you have the luxury of choosing, amongst a panel of angels, then take that into consideration.
Good, thank you. So I think we can go to next question. Actually, a couple of questions, and they would be very interesting. It would be very interesting to hear from Yeva and Erin on this one. So, does the fact that business is sustainable affect investing decision making? And would you invest in a company that creates positive social or environmental impact, but probably will never earn millions of euros?
Maybe I can start on this one, if you don't mind, Erin. Well, from my investment strategy, that's one of the investment criteria. So it's difficult to answer otherwise. I mean, the sustainability part doesn't have to be sustainable, because I don't know any business on planet Earth that is sustainable, and it's quite impossible to achieve that fully, right? It has to be a goal, and it has to be part of a strategy to make a positive impact, or at least not to make negative impact, or at least to leverage that more on the positivity side, right? So I invest in purpose-driven businesses or entrepreneurs. Means that they are looking definitely further in terms of return on investment on both ways, financial or environmental or social, and they're on the same page with me. So it's a long-term process, and it doesn't mean that it can't be billion these days dollar, because $1 million business is like every second business nowadays, $1 billion business. And I believe that the sustainability is definitely an advantage in that. Today it always was, but now everyone is on board more or less with this, and it's almost a prerogative. Also talking about the European Union, Green Deal and all the other finally released, right, requirements for the investors and the businesses. So it will be no other way. It's the only way to go. You don't have to make it up and to pretend to be sustainable or pretend to solve problems. But the businesses I don't think that we need more businesses just for the sake of creating more businesses. We all have to solve problems and to help elongate, the life of our planet and people on the planet. So for me, obviously, it's just a part of my strategy. So it would be difficult to answer otherwise.
Great. I can only echo what Yeva was saying. I think for me, it's not just sustainability, it's perhaps broader than that. I mean, if we think of sustainability as more environmental, we can think of it as in a broader sense. I'm part of my investment thesis is how we, as investors and business leaders, need to work on business being shaped as a force for good. And if you look at the pressures on publicly listed companies, it's already there. Publicly listed companies are expected to, deliver on ESG parameters and have balanced boards and all of that. And it was ironic, but for the moment, private capital or venture capital, all that doesn't seem to be subject to the same pressures from their own limited partners and investors, but it's just a matter of time because consumers are going that way. So I think, whether the timelines of investment are going to be longer than in the classical, invest just for money perhaps, but I think ultimately the value creation is going to be greater if you're investing in these kinds of platforms. And I personally, I have a blend of philanthropic capital and let's say non-philanthropic capital that I invest, and it's nice to have those tools. And I do think there's a big role for philanthropic capital in this space. And you see that with, some of the world's wealthiest individuals, like the Gates and the Buffetts, et cetera, making steps in that direction.
Yeah, so I didn't expect any of our answer from you both.
Of course.
I'm also very interested to hear from Augustas and Romualdas, because you do not say that you are purpose-driven investors. So it's very interesting to hear from you. Is sustainability a driving force in your investment or not?
When I investing in some ideas, I didn't think just from sustainability, but the main and worst is in my head, what I know, we will destroy our planet, and we don't have possibilities to skip it. Because when there's the same startups, when they get some money, they start buying the GT3 Porsche and big houses like 500 square meters to 1,000 square meters. From one side, the people, like in a surface, they said that, but when you see deeper in companies, in owners, you see different from the everything is going just on the surface, and when you see deeper, it's very, very. I have just bad news about that. I don't have good news, and all scientists said that all our ideas about when we can maybe we'll find a new planet where we can go and to do something new, to make a new planet, it's impossible in nearest 2,000 years. And everything what we need to do to go to this sustainability way, but we didn't do that. That's all.
Yeah, I think it's good that we have Elon Musk, and he will fly us to the Mars, so we have a second chance if we fail at the Earth. I think I would approach this question from the Fenian perspective. The most valuable startup in Lithuania is a second second clove marketplace, so-called Vinted. I think we started 10 years or so back in the days when anything about the environmental impact and all these trends that are happening right now, we are not there yet, right? So in the beginning, the company evaluation was set at that it's as a marketplace connecting people which want to exchange different goods. So basically a marketplace. Nowadays, it's a $1 billion or more company approaching IPO and very successful case, employing a lot of people. And that's I think the answer here is that the market puts a very strong premium on the business that is not only just operating as a business, but has this idea of putting a positive impact on the way we live, right, and towards the environment, Earth, and etc. So for me, this is kind of example how we should look both from investors' perspective and both from a kind of founders' perspective. If you look at the company you want to found, the question is how market will see your company or put value for your company.
Yeah, thank you. That's a very good example. We actually had a sustainability expert of Vinted at our opening event, and she talked about this, that it was very hard to convince the market why this product we are creating, the app, is needed 10 years ago, but now it's much easier, and now it's the right time to enter with your sustainable ideas. Good. So I think we are running out of time, so a couple more questions. Does founders' age affect how investors perceive the startup and how to show the greatness of the team on pitch deck? So can the founder be too young or probably too old?
Never heard this question before, actually. That's surprising. I wonder if this question is from a very young founder or an elderly.
I'm guessing so.
I don't think so. I think that the experience can come with any age, and it really depends on the startup. I haven't met neither too old or too young yet, so not for me, not yet.
Yes, everything's possible. I see everyone was nodding, so I guess everyone's agreeing.
It's really very difficult questions because we have pictures in our head that the experience and some skills becomes with some age, and for you easy to agree that this person has this experience or skills, and if comes 18 or 20 years old entrepreneur who wants to change the world, you understand that he don't have enough maybe skills, but the world is changes, and sometimes you can see much more deeper. You can try to sometimes to find the footsteps what he did before in his school, in his social life, and sometimes you can find a lot of very young people with very nice job done before, with 4 years and with a lot of efforts. And you can sometimes, and from another side, you can see nice guys, 30, 40 years, but you find not so nice footsteps before.
I think the question brings up a great broader subject of sort of diversity in our investments portfolio, and not just, of course, gender is a theme, but background, country of origin. I mean, it's a question for corporates and hiring decisions also. It challenges us as investors to not only invest in people who look like those that we invested in the past. And I think that's now where we need to position ourselves, but it's always easier, when you have a reference to say, oh, that person reminds me of somebody. So we have to be especially aware, I think, and conscious of our own biases when we're meeting management teams.
Yeah, that's a very good insight. Okay, so Next question. What are the biggest mistakes made by startups when they pitch for investors? Can you share some examples? What went wrong or could went wrong when pitching to you?
So I sorry, yeah, you go, please.
I was just going to say, getting too drowning in details, I think can be, not keeping the big picture view. I think when you get sucked into details, then it's hard to keep the investment case compelling. I don't know.
I guess, yeah, thank you. I guess one strong kind of failure I see is raising money for the sake of the money. So basically putting a tagline of $200,000 or euros for the, no obvious grounds. I know that, early stages, you cannot plan everything to the, how corporates are doing the budgeting and etc. But sometimes you feel from the pitching in co-founders that they want 200,000, and that's probably the number we heard because their friends have raised 200,000, and it's not anything related to the business plan or business idea or the stage they are in. So this is, I think, one common theme or of a mistake why people approach it wrongly in our markets. And the second, the kind of smaller, is like getting cold emails or cold LinkedIn messages, which usually don't work because I don't know, I'm not a very suspicious person, but it's just you have to think through how you approach angel very strongly. You mostly don't want to kind of send a pitch deck and expect that you'll receive money. So you have to kind of build this network much kind of before you start raising money, and not just prepare the pitch deck and start sending everywhere to everyone. Yeah, so it'd be two things from my side.
Also, I would agree to all what Augustas and Aaron just said, but from my perspective, I would add that also when pitching to the angel, right, on the first, let's say these days, video call, sticking to the presentation and just as if presenting, not actually being in a conversation, is a very common mistake, and almost every second team or entrepreneur I meet does that. And normally, even if I, at the beginning of the conversation, even if I say that I would like to ask some questions and maybe we should start from there, and perhaps people are nervous, but listening more than just translating and just, talking, and you just, phew, I said everything. that's really, I would say, wasting my time a lot of the time, because I already read through it and I know what I want to ask. So then I would have to have a second call, if I would have a second call, or we would have to have 2 hours conversation just because we were just, or I have to actually interrupt quite impolitely to be able to talk about it more and to discuss and ask, rather than just listen to their slide and look at their slides. So that's very common these, Zoom days, I would say.
Okay, thank you.
I'll just one more very short advice. I think in this at this stage, spend so much energy and time on building a very kind of robust pitch deck, both design, both clear. It just shows the kind of very difference between good and bad teams that you've been approached. If you don't put enough effort on your pitch deck, that's kind of a no-go deal breaker. And those who put a lot of effort and made it beautiful and kind of not just from a beauty side of the spec, but you kind of feel the difference instantly that people put effort to take your time to look at the pitch deck.
Yeah, thank you. You already started talking about this. So one last question is, what is your one piece of advice for the first-time entrepreneurs? And that's the question to all of you. I can see this is a hard one. It doesn't sound like it, but
Okay, I'll start. Probably. I think if you start, and it goes back to some things I said before, is don't put your pitch on a number of dollars or euros you want to raise. I guess one thing I strongly look at the team is how they went this thought process of thinking what's the business model, or what's the kind of revenues they be earning sooner rather than later, become kind of closer to the break even, etc. So I think this kind of then relates to my interest to invest into companies, how fast I can get my money back, because I'm still primarily interested into return on investment. But this is, I think, strongly, for me, is a good indication in a team that talks about a business model and the ways we can earn the money sooner rather than later, not just relying on the angels or VC investment only to kind of go through the business plan.
Thank you. That's a very good advice.
I think the different people different advising, but my main thing from today, it's done is better than perfect. Don't spend too much money on to go to the perfect place.
Thank you.
I think I would maybe go back to Augusta's comment around grit. Like before you start on an entrepreneurial adventure, ask yourself how far are you willing to go? How much of yourself are you willing to invest in it? How much of your time and energy? How many times did people tell you no? Would you still jump, land on your feet again? So I think there's, before pushing the go button, there's really that questioning of being completely committed and ready. Because I think a lot of this ends up being a question of timing. It can be timing in the market, it can be timing for investors, but it's also timing for the entrepreneurs to, to completely go for it.
Thanks, Erin. And Yava?
I would maybe add that an important quality or that you can also train yourself to have is perhaps not being stuck on an idea, as I was an entrepreneur some time ago too, and just thinking about myself, how you just really want to deliver on that your ideal idea, that you put so much time in it, and effort, and maybe your personal savings, and you want to create that exact thing, or service or product. But sometimes, and most of the time it will change, even when it's already established. So maybe to have that in mind and to be able to adapt, whether the circumstances change or the market, as Erin says, or your team, or you meet the right people. So to be able to change and to see the new opportunities, and to be able to let it go, basically, at least part of it, is also a very important part of the journey for the first-time entrepreneurs, I would say.
Thank you. That's a very nice note to end the discussion. So I want to say a big thank you to all of you for taking your time and agreeing to participate here. I think we covered a lot of questions, and there are many more to come. So we will probably have to do a next event some near future. So thank you. I think you all made business angels look more human than some kind of mystical creatures. And yeah, so I want to inform our audience that if you missed any part of this, the recording is available on our YouTube page, so you can come back anytime. And in 2 weeks, we will actually have our final event of this program, the demo day. So please feel free to join the online event and see what our participants came up with in 2 months. So thank you everyone for joining this event, and see you soon. Goodbye.
Thank you.